Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into Killers of the Flower Moon, a film that takes us deep into one of the darkest chapters of American history. Directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, this true crime thriller reveals a chilling story of wealth, deception, and the exploitation of indigenous people in the early 20th century. Set in 1920s Oklahoma, Killers of the Flower Moon tells the story of the Osage Nation, a Native American tribe that became incredibly wealthy after discovering oil beneath their land. This wealth, however, attracted greed and violence. The Osage were systematically targeted and murdered in what would become known as the Osage Indian Murders, or the Reign of Terror. At the heart of this story are two characters, Ernest Burkhart, a morally conflicted man played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and his uncle, William Hale, played by Robert De Niro. Hale is a cunning, manipulative man who sees an opportunity to control the wealth of the Osage by marrying Ernest to Molly Burkhart, an Osage woman with substantial oil rights. Molly, portrayed beautifully by Lily Gladstone, is a strong yet vulnerable character who watches helplessly as her family and community are torn apart. As her relatives are murdered one by one, Molly begins to realize that the people closest to her, including her husband, may not be as innocent as they appear. The Osage murders were eventually investigated by a young J. Edgar Hoover, head of the newly formed FBI. This case helped establish the FBI as a major federal agency, and it exposed the widespread corruption and racism that enabled these crimes. Killers of the Flower Moon isn't just a crime thriller. It's a deep exploration of human nature and the lengths people will go for power and wealth. Greed drives these characters to betray family and friends, while the systematic racism of the time allowed these crimes to continue for years. This powerful story highlights how justice was often slow and biased for marginalized communities. Scorsese's direction in this film is haunting. His use of close-ups and lingering shots adds a sense of dread. The cinematography paints a stark contrast between the beauty of the Osage land and the dark events that unfold. With a masterful soundtrack and pacing, Scorsese captures the tension and despair of the Osage people. Killers of the Flower Moon is more than a movie, it's a historical